Hi, I'm not going to talk about a novel or a full blown book today. I'm really talking about a story, a short story. So, short stories are one of my favorite forms of literature, and today I'm talking about Alice Munro's The Moons of Jupiter. So, this book, it's a collection of stories. It has 12 short stories, but this is the title story which I'm really going to talk about today. So, first, a bit about Alice Munro. She is a Canadian author. She's highly acclaimed. She's got all the accolades on this planet. She's been awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. She's got the Booker Prize. So, she's really good. My first encounter with Alice Munro was actually through a literary essay, not one of her books or writings. So, the essay compared her to Chekhov. Chekhov is one of my favorite short story writers, so I definitely had to see how her writing style was. I don't recall the exact sentence, but I think what it said was like Munro is the Chekhov of our times or something like that. So coming to the story, The Moons of Jupiter, it's actually about a middle-aged woman called Janet. She's a writer. She is fairly well known. She's made a name for herself. She has two daughters. The older one, Nicola, prefers not to keep in touch, but she seems to be the favorite child. The younger one, Judith, she lives with her boyfriend, and in this story, Janet is shown to come and spend a night at Judith's apartment while she's traveling to Toronto. So Janet travels, and on an emergency, she has to drive down her father to the hospital. And the rest of the story is in and around her father having to or not having to undergo surgery, those choices that you have to make at a hospital, and her father finally going for an option which potentially reduces the life expectancy. And the story is really about Janet having this outward strong demeanor when in a hospital, which I think something that many of us have gone through when you're at a hospital with a loved one, or you're even at a doctor's chamber with a loved one, and that person is suffering and not being themselves, and you kind of feel so helpless. You can't really do anything. You have to rely on what the doctor is saying. You're trusting the doctor, yet you're having to make these really difficult choices in split seconds. So that, I think, is something that I could really relate to. And I'm the sort of person who really, for me, a story really works when I can relate to the characters, and I can, when I'm reading the book, it's not just that I'm reading the book, but I'm really living the story. So this really works for me because I could relate to the characters so well. Some of the things that I really like about this story, it's not really a coming of age story, but it's really about coming to terms kind of a story. So Janet really has to come to this reconciliation with the finality of the situation as far as her father is concerned. And even though she has this inward conflict going on, there is this outward calm that she maintains all the time. So her finally coming to terms with it actually happens when she's just roaming the streets of Toronto aimlessly, and she comes to this planetarium and stays back for a particular program about the moons of Jupiter, and they're showing this solar system and the planets, and the kind of voiceover and everything, talking about something which is larger than life, kind of transports Janet to this other world. And she comes back to the hospital and she's talking to her father about these things, and it's like she's enjoying these last few moments with him, and they kind of make it a very humorous exchange, even though both of them don't know that these might be the last words that they're exchanging. And as far as her daughter is concerned, Nicola, there also Janet kind of has to come to terms with the fact that Nicola has made a choice to not keep in touch. So there's nothing much that she can do about it, and that's something that she just has to come to terms with. So that's about the story. What I really like about the style of Munro, and it's not just in this story but most of her stories, is that her stories are set in urbanscapes and very modern families with conflicts and issues that we modern readers can very easily relate to. And when I say modern conflicts, I don't necessarily mean that they're not universal in nature. I mean, the pain of losing a parent, that is universal. There's nothing of a modern twist that you can put anything in that too. But still, the setting and the style that she uses creates this form that you can easily relate to. Also, the language that she uses is easy, very easy. And when I say it's an easy read, I'm saying from the perspective of the reader. It's an easy read for us. I'm sure when she had to create this very tight and simple story, she had to put a lot of labor into it. So that's something that I really like in this. Another very important yet something that's worth a mention is that this story is very successful in evoking deeply personal emotions. When you're reading the story, you will be moved and you will really feel for Janet, and you might even remember personal experiences. I mean, I did. That's something that's true for me. So. And another thing that's important in this book, and is I found very significant, is that the characters are not really, larger than life with all the heroic qualities. Janet has her fair share of flaws, and she has stuff in her life that she has regrets for. So that's something that I can at least easily relate to. So I would highly recommend this book. It's not the traditional short story with a twist in the tale and a denouement that you were not absolutely expecting. But I think that really works for the form that Alice creates here. So I would really recommend this for people who love short stories in general and who like new and fresh kind of voice. So definitely read it and let me know how you like it.